G'day travellers, an Aussie abroad here. I'd like to apologise for the giant gap since I've been online and uploaded. I've been on holidays and I had to work out some of my own stuff. I'm working out some more trips that you should get excited for. But for now, sit back, relax, and check out the video.
As you probably guessed, I'm at the Botanic Garden today. I finished work early at the garden, which is literally across the road from where I am, and figured, let's not waste the day, let's go check something out.
The Adelaide Botanic Garden is a 51-hectare public garden at the northeast corner of Adelaide city centre. It encompasses a fenced garden on the North Terrace, and behind it the Botanic Park adjacent to the Adelaide Zoo. The Adelaide Botanic Garden and adjacent State Herbarium, together with the Wittunga and Mount Lofty Botanic Gardens, are administered by the Botanic Gardens of South Australia, the state government's statutory authority. From the first official survey carried out for the map of Adelaide, Colonel William Light intended for the planned city to have a botanical garden. To this end, he designated a naturally occurring lot of land that had formed in the course of the River Torrens. However, it wasn't until 1854, after a public appeal to Governor Sir Henry Young, that gardens were established at the current location. They were founded the following year and opened officially in 1857. The garden's design was influenced by royal gardens at Kew, England, and Versailles, France. The first director of the Botanic Garden was George William Francis. First appointed as superintendent of the Botanic Garden in March 1855, he subsequently became its first director on its official opening to the public in 1857. Francis established the first herbarium and botanical library in Adelaide, and Huckia francisana, an Australian shrub that grows up to 4 metres, is named after him. Francis was succeeded in 1865 by the botanist, Dr. Richard Moritz Schomburg. He was a major advocate for the establishment of forest reserves in the increasingly denuded South Australian countryside. Amongst other scientific and educational displays of native and international horticulture, the gardens hold one of the earliest propagated specimens of the Wollemi pine tree, which was discovered as recently as 1994. This is the Museum of Economic Botany. It's dedicated to the collection and interpretation of useful plants. It was established by Schomburg in 1879, described as the last purpose-built colonial museum in the world. It is located within the gardens, a short distance to the west of the Goodman Building. Built in Greek Revival style and opened in May 1881, the building and its interior were extensively restored during 2008 and 2009. The restoration works were assisted by a grant from the Australian government for $1.125 million. Much of the collection originally on display in 1881 has been reinstated, including a collection of papier-mâché and stucco replicas of various fruits and fungi. A unique contemporary space for temporary exhibitions within the museum was created by Kai Liu Design. Displays of Aboriginal artefacts, a subject neglected by the original museum, were prepared in collaboration with the South Australian Museum. The museum is notable for the completeness of its preservation. The building, its interior decoration, showcases, collections, and even many labels have survived from as early as 1865. The museum is on the Register of State Heritage Items, the Register of City of Adelaide Items, and has been classified by the National Trust of Australia.
She's saying, ooh, you've got one life to live. She's singing, ooh, you've got one life to live. Don't let it go.
The gardens receive funding from the Government of South Australia, supplemented by sponsorship and community donations administered by the Adelaide Botanic Gardens Foundation. Funds are raised for the purposes of scientific research, education, acquisition and maintenance of living conditions, and for the long-term financial security of the gardens. The Adelaide Botanic Gardens Foundation is the trustee of the not-for-profit Adelaide Botanic Gardens Foundation Fund and has deductible gift recipient status for taxation purposes. The chairman of the Adelaide Botanic Gardens Foundation is David Knox, CEO of oil and gas company Santos, which is headquartered in Adelaide and one of the main sponsors.
Can you let go of it all tonight? Or will you decide to push on through and ignore the words inside? Take a breath now, don't hold it in too long, 'cause you'll find you're missing.
I'm going to be real with you guys. There's not a whole lot to do in Adelaide. Don't get me wrong, it's an absolutely beautiful city and a lot of fun to be in. But as far as tourism goes, there's not a whole lot. The Botanic Garden was at the bottom of my list, and for reasons being such as I've been to a lot of botanic gardens. You've seen one, you've seen most of them. That's just how it generally goes. But I'm actually pleasantly surprised. This place is absolutely gorgeous, and just walking around looking at everything around me is like, it's so much to take in. And this is in the middle of the CBD. It's mind-blowing. If you get the chance, definitely come to the Botanic Garden in Adelaide. Totally worth it. Totally free.
This is the Bicentennial Conservatory. As part of Adelaide's celebration of the Australian Bicentenary, the conservatory was constructed in 1987 and opened in late 1989. The building was designed by a local architect, Guy Moron, and has won awards for its design, which is absolutely incredible. He has also won awards for the engineering and landscaping of the structure. It is 100 metres long, 47 metres wide and 27 metres high, making it the largest single-span conservatory in the Southern Hemisphere. The conservatory houses at-risk or endangered tropical rainforest plants from Northern Australia, Papua New Guinea, Indonesia and the South Pacific Islands. However, in early 2012 a controversial decision was announced to remove the tropical plants from the conservatory due to the rising power costs. In April 2012, the entry fee to the conservatory was abolished and visitor numbers were expected to increase despite rising energy costs and budget cuts resulting in the building no longer being heated. But can I tell you this? It is an absolutely incredible experience to go inside the Bicentennial Conservatory. You feel like you're walking inside of an indoor rainforest and it actually does rain in there. It is incredible and such an awesome experience that can be had for all. The administrative headquarters of the Botanic Gardens are located in the historic Goodman Building at the Hackney Road entrance on the eastern side of the gardens. This was built in 1909 as the headquarters of the Municipal Tramways Trust and named for its longtime chief engineer and general manager, W.G.T. Goodman. The adjacent Tram Barn A has been converted to hold the State Herbarium. This is the Rose Garden. Begun in 1966, the National Rose Trial Garden is the first garden of its kind in Australia, where roses are tested for their suitability for Australian climates. The garden is a joint venture between the Botanic Gardens of Adelaide, the National Rose Trial Society of Australia, and the rose industry. It has been built on part of the former Municipal Tramways Trust Hackney Depot. A trial is conducted over 2 growing seasons, and all plants are treated equally with regard to horticultural practices. The roses are judged by a panel of 10 experienced rosarians who view them and allocate points over the 2 growing seasons. The results are announced publicly at the end of the trial, and the best performing roses receive an award. The Palm, or Tropical House, is a Victorian glasshouse located to the west of the main lake. It was designed by German architect Gustav Runge and imported from Bremen, Germany in 1875. Opened in 1877 and restored in 1995. As of 2007, it held a collection of Malagasy arid flora. That was about all the time and energy I could spare at the Botanical Garden of Adelaide, but it was well worth the visit. Absolutely mind-blowing as far as how stunning the parklands were, with their historic buildings, all of the interesting information that previously I had known nothing about. I definitely would recommend going to anyone that visits Adelaide City, but that's about all I have time for today, travellers. So as always, this is an Aussie Abroad, signing off.